I feel like I'm in a transitional period of some of the work, like going from some of the classic things I've done that have dived into historical references and going into more of a I think there's always been a subconscious element to what I've been doing, but I'm driving more into that, I think, and I'm building on that. How I've kind of phrased it to myself is that I'm creating a pre-apocalyptic vibe. And some of my work that I've done in the past, it focuses on an individual, and the individual is fighting against some sort of force that's outside the frame of reference. It's not in a really defined environment, it's in an abstract environment. Like all the backgrounds are runs and grips in these abstractions. But the thing is we've never seen a person outside of an environment, so your mind automatically fills in this blank of what's going on, where's it, and you're jumping in to fill in the blanks of what you're looking at. And so what I'm doing now is I'm giving more context, I'm giving more of this environmental situation that things are in, but they're still not really explained. But I'd already had this idea for this train painting, which was based on an experience I had in Alaska. I went up there to go salmon fishing along the Alagnak River. And one morning when I was getting up to go out, it was just misty and foggy, and the sun was rising up. And it occurred to me that sun looked like the light of a train coming through the fog. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to have an old steam train just sitting in the middle of a river, just like quiet and peaceful all around it. And so I'm taking those experiences and putting those together along with my dreams. And this big steam train in the river in the middle of nowhere, and it's rusted out, and I don't know what's going on, but it's been there for a while. It's almost like a world that's gone, and we're finding the relics of our own world, so to speak. But the light on the train is still lit, like there's still some life about it, like it could come back to life. And then the environment is just mysterious. It invites you to wonder what's going on, what era is this from. There's the hint of the river, but when you get up close to it, it's really abstractly done. Things aren't always what they appear to be, but we make meaning out of things because we recognize the patterns. You're creating a sort of a feeling more than you are trying to express the surface details of things. And so the way I applied paint, when I'm painting this train, I'm trying to create this rusted look of paint. So I'm using pigments that use iron oxide, which is what you would see in rust, and I'm applying it with a palette knife and creating a texture that looks like a patina of rust on a train, on a piece of metal. So in certain areas, you're going to see that. I'm taking all of these sort of ingredients and mixing them together to create, kind of orchestrating something that is not necessarily not trying to hit you over the head with the surface details and the literal interpretations of things, but I'm trying to create an emotional reaction. No more half measures is actually a line from Breaking Bad where Walter White is talking to Mike Ehrmantraut, and he gives this whole sort of story about you don't go halfway with things, no half measures. The horse I kind of modeled after a Frisian. These big, huge, powerful, jet black horses. They're just beautiful. And the power in that is what I wanted to do. And this grass is going back to my experience in Alaska. Right along the river, the edge of the river is all this tall grass, and the wind blows and hits the grass. So I'm taking these experiences I had and I'm using them as elements to convey this feeling, this mood, this idea. The posture, I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and one of the first things you learn is to maintain your posture, which is relaxed. Shoulders back in. And the reason you got to maintain your posture before anything is if somebody can break you down, that's the whole game, right? So he's got this self-assuredness. The world's burning behind him. Maybe he destroyed it, maybe he did, maybe he's just coming through it, but this is a rebirth into something new and everything else is old and burning away. I painted this, and this might sound trivial, after my cat of 15 years passed away, and I watched him die of kidney disease, and I stayed to the end was what that meant. And his ears are like silhouetted in here. And so that's where this idea came from. When people you love or animals or relationships end, grief is something we all go through, and it's difficult, and it feels like you're in this other timeline where the world is moving on without you and nothing stops, and you just want everything to stop because this big part of your life is gone. But we stay to the end for those that we love, and that's where that came from. So going back to the devils and the details, you're automatically, if you're thinking of the title, you're looking for what are the details on, what am I missing here? What's going on, right? And I like the idea that there's this sheriff's badge, right? But it's got a skull on it, so it's not like traditional sheriffs. But he's also got a mask like a bandit. So you've got these sort of opposing elements going on. So what is the detail that we're missing here? Also, there's a number of technical things that are going on in the painting versus, so like a lot of this is painted really in thin layers, and then I've taken really thick with palette knife and done scraping and created this textural part on the character himself. And then his eyes are devilish too. Is he going to somewhere? Is he coming from somewhere? I think one of the big things I like to do with the work is not give you all the answers, because then it keeps you wanting to engage with it. You never get tired of looking at it and trying to ponder. And as you go through things in life, there's certain pieces I've done that as you go through experiences, your relationship with the artwork changes because it hits on a number of different keys, so you can look at it from different points of view. I went with a buddy of mine to the Sierra Nevadas, where they had some recent huge forest fires, and there's entire forests that are just matchsticks, just burnt wood, just like black pine trees and nothing around. It's really, really otherworldly. It's like being on Mars. And then at the base of those trees are new green growth and flowers coming up and all this stuff. So there's all, like, out of this destruction is new birth, new things coming up. And so these people are in the context of this environment. When I started doing this with the black background, I never really used black that intently in the paintings before. It just was striking to me. You know, it's like, I'm really excited because I don't know how people are going to respond to these. I haven't, until this show, revealed it to anybody. So like I'm really just, I want to sit in the back, just kind of like wonder what people are going to think when they see this. Before I start telling them all the things that reasons and whys and all that kind of stuff, I want to know how people are responding to this. And so far, I mean, you hit it on the head, it's just dark woods. And so it's connecting somewhere where even if it's kind of abstract, the feeling you get up close to it, it's really simply done. But there's a certain pattern to the way those trees look. Being there in person is what helps me to bring that feeling into the painting. I don't have to draw every twig and every piece of wood to get the idea across. What's important is to get the sort of impression of what's going on. And so I can still maintain some of the abstractness and spontaneity that I have from my previous works. This is nerve-wracking to do because there is no way to like undo it. When I'm painting in thin layers, if you do something that doesn't work, you can just wipe it off. But with this, you just have to do it, and it has to feel right. So I practiced on these little paintings a few times to see how it would work, and then you just go right to it. And then you have to stop and not second guess yourself. And it has a sense of spontaneity, a sense of playfulness. And then you have this sort of more sinister outline silhouette character. And again, the colors are like springtime and sort of, feeling more alive. But the character is in this other internal world that's going on. It may be in contrast to what's going on in the environment. The title came from something I heard a collector say. It's just like, don't call me ma'am. And like, that would be a perfect title for you. Picking up where a lot of the other paintings I've done of the women that I've painted, it reflects the women I grew up with, my own upbringing, the women in my life. They are self-assured, strong, no bullshit type of people. I'm reflecting people that are in my life, people that are around me, things I overhear, places I go, all of these things. And it goes back into what I was talking about earlier, where it works kind of like how our dreams work, where you take things and experiences that you've had and then you kind of redigest them into a new thing that is familiar and recognizable, yet somewhat bizarre at the same time, maybe. Well, we see people, we read body language. And so we get cues from their state of being, their mindset, their emotional state of mind, based on how they're standing, sitting, moving. And so we immediately pick up on that. You know, in this work and almost all the work that I'm doing with these characters, there is a story in their posture, like we picked up on the first painting, the self-assuredness. There might be somebody who's less that way, as any number of things. So we pick up on those cues. And one of the things I try to do is put that into the body language. The emotion is there. You may not always have the words to articulate what the feeling is, but you feel it. If that's going on, I feel like it's working. I want to talk about this painting. I talk about transitional things. So the title, "And Now for a Brief Intermission," is kind of this is more of a comedy. It's like I would call a comedy on the cusp of tragedy. So it looks like a guy is getting shot and he's falling back, right? But you see these clouds, they're kind of going up at an angle, sunset-y sort of cloud. But generally clouds are even with the horizon line. So if you look at this guy, he turned it, he's actually just twirling pistols. I mean, there's no blood, gunshots or anything coming around. But also there's another play on, "And now for a brief intermission." It's like, playing back into the subconscious area where we go to sleep and we wake up. When you go to sleep and wake up, there's a brief intermission of the dream world. And I feel like, not that I'm promoting reincarnation, but there's a brief intermission. You fall down and then you rise back up with some other experience. The paint mark making is creating the illusion of landscape, the illusion of depth and space. So it's all illusion. I'm thinking of color in four ways. There's the hue, which is like the red, blue, green. There's chromatic value, which is like how vibrant it is. There's the warm and coolness. You might think of that as like blue being cool and this orange being brown. And then there's a saturation, which is like how orange is it versus how gray it is. So there's four elements of the color that I'm using to create a three-dimensional illusion on a two-dimensional surface. So it's all illusion, right? And it's like a magic trick. You don't want to get heavy-handed. Like if you can paint something in 2 paint strokes, do it in 2 strokes rather than 20. Like that simplicity and efficiency is what I'm aiming to a lot. And when you pull it off, it's really, really fun. And just like it feels like you're getting away with something, and the ultimate goal is that I feel like when a painting is successful, it looks kind of effortless. Like I have it in my head, and now it's just a matter of how do I get this out. And as I'm working on these ideas, they also change, and there's things that come up, so there's a spontaneity to it. Ultimately, I want this to be fun and entertaining, thought-provoking. I want a piece of artwork, if you're going to collect it, I want it to be something you can't stop looking at, that no matter what goes on in your life, the art changes with you.